Hi everyone, welcome to my review of The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, directed by Justin Lin from 2006. So yes, we are back once again, ready to discuss film on the channel, this time around the third entry in the Fast and Furious franchise, and yeah, this is the one that I was really looking forward to seeing, and finally got around to it the other day, and yeah, we'd like to discuss this film today on the channel. But first of all, there will be a spoiler warning for this discussion. If everyone's in this film, simply recommend seeing it first, and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments, and yeah, celebrate cinema. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and yeah, let's get straight into it. Tokyo Drift, this is the one that was really interesting to see, and you know, I knew beforehand roughly where it was on the timeline as well within the franchise, and it's quite an interesting one because it's the only film, you know, if you take this out of the whole franchise, the rest of the films are in order, you know, kind of chronologically, you know, the timeline, and you know, the main films here, of course, and yeah, this is a one, for some reason, it's kind of set, you know, way after quite a few of them, and you know, it's kind of confusing, you know, to me, you know, I was looking over this and where it actually fits in, but yeah, it's something that just, it's the only film in the franchise that is set, you know, differently to the rest of the films, and yeah, of course, different location, you know, in Tokyo for the most of the film, and Paul Walker is not even in this film this time round, and we have just a completely different set of characters, really, in this one, and a different vibe, although it does feel a bit similar to the first Fast and Furious film, you know, it's very, very different. You know, it's about obviously street racing again, but this time round it's, you know, kind of drifting. You know, in this one that they're exploring the kind of street drifting, and you know, as well, just the kind of Yakuza is involved in this one as well. You know, got some plot lines in there with the Yakuza, of course, and yeah, it's just something that it's a very, very different vibe in that sense to the other films, you know, in the franchise to this point, and yeah, I think as well, you know, it's clearly not, you know, as popular at times, you know, within the kind of rankings of the Fast and Furious films, and I was just really intrigued to see this one, and you know, just to see how it compares, you know, at least so far for me, you know, to 1 and 2, and you know, I will say straight away, you know, this one I did really, really enjoy, and you know, I thought it was actually kind of a standout film so far, you know, and I think actually it's up there with the first in just how kind of unique it is, and you know, how invested I got, you know, in the characters, and you know, I think just this whole kind of you know, street racing culture in this, you know, it's done in a different way, but at times, you know, I found it to be a little bit more investing, you know, in the way that was done, just the way as well we have these new set of characters, and you know, these younger characters as well, even than the other films, and you know, we've got obviously Sean, played by Lucas Black, and you know, kind of this you know, guy who messes around, and you know, gets in trouble, you know, with the law, and you know, we see the kind of prologue to the film, which I will say was not my favourite part of the film, and but you know, we've got some cool chases in there, you know, kind of racing there and stuff like that, and that was really cool. But you know, I think just the way we have that kind of first 10 minutes, seeing how he ends up being sent to Tokyo, you know, he's kind of forced to actually live with his dad for the time, and yeah, just you know, it's quite an interesting setup in that sense, and yeah, just he goes to Tokyo, obviously he goes to school there, you know, he changes schools, and you know, he meets various characters soon into the film that kind of you know, introduce him to the street racing, you know, culture in Tokyo. This time around, the drifting community, and you know, I think especially we have, you know, Han, played by Sun Khan, you know, in the film, and you know, he was straight away, you know, I knew this was going to be my favourite character in the film, and yeah, he was. You know, this character, you know, Han, you know, he was just so great in this film, and you know, I just love this character. Just the way he kind of at first, he's just kind of eating this food, and you know, as well, yeah, quite quiet in the film, and you know, I thought the performance was really, really good here because it kind of enticed me in, you know, into this character, really mysterious, and then when you know, kind of Sean and Han kind of get, you know, talking more, and they kind of form this friendship, you know, that's when the film really picks up even more, and you know, I just found myself to be really gradually invested in this one with the characters, and you know, I think, you know, Bow Wow as well as a Twinkie in the film, you know, he was a standout character, and you know, I think, yeah, it's just really you know, a nice set of characters, you know, more kind of school scenes as well, you know, in this one, obviously, as I say, younger characters than the other films up to this point, and yeah, it was just really interesting to see this, and you know, it was quite nostalgic in that sense, you know, the school scenes, and just yeah, seeing this in Tokyo as well, and you know, some funny moments in this with the character, obviously just going in and not really knowing what to do at times, and yeah, just I think the way, you know, he kind of gets involved with the Yakuza as well, you know, in this one, you know, I thought that was really interesting the way it's done, and you know, as well, DK, you know, in the film, played by Brian T, you know, I thought he was actually a really good kind of villain, if you will, you know, the film, and you know, I thought at first, you know, he's kind of this you know, cocky character, and you know, one that is quite, you know, smug, obviously, you know, he appears to be, and you know, I think actually there's some interesting moments later on in the film with him, and just to see, you know, his uncle as well, and the whole kind of way in which, you know, he's kind of being treated here, and the theme of legacy in a way was tapped into a bit, so I thought there was some interesting moments with the characters as well, and they had some depth, even just, this kind of villain, the main villain of the film, obviously, DK, and, I did find as well to have some funny moments, before that, before he meets him, You've got obviously Sean saying, "What does DK stand for?" Donkey Kong, and that was a funny moment, in the lift there with, of course, Twinkie, and I think just the way we're introduced to all these characters, and I think Twinkie at first, and kind of Sean here, the way in which they interact, and is kind of this friendship that forms. I was kind of surprised, when then kind of obviously we have Sean, messing up the drifting, but really badly messing it up, and I thought that was a bit strange how he was so bad, the drifting in that sense, because he was obviously a confident racer in that sense beforehand, and he did quite a lot of kind of going around corners and all this high speed chases, kind of type scenarios, and racing, and I thought so. The fact that he was just slamming into all these cars, in such a kind of such a way, he was so bad at the drifting. I thought maybe that was a bit strange to me, but anyway, he does mess up the first kind of drift. He tries to show off, thinking he'll be all great compared to all these drifters, and he's never actually drifted properly before, but he messes it up, and then of course he kind of gets involved straight away with this whole Yakuza kind of plot, and obviously Han as well. He kind of says you've got to kind of win it back. That kind of money you've lost me with the cars, and just from there we do have this kind of him being taken into this lifestyle, and we've got the dad as well. At home, kind of saying obviously. If you get involved with racing again, if you come into contact with any cars like this, you're gone, kind of thing, and so he kind of tries to keep it secret from his dad, and at one point the dad, obviously, as we know, finds out, in the film, and just kind of, kind of chucks him out at one point, and then he comes back for the final act, where he kind of, he does actually help in some way, and I think the dad in the film, it was quite cool to see at first, and I thought it would probably go, somewhere more than it did in that sense. It was kind of just there in the final act mainly again, in a kind of, slightly meaningful way, but it wasn't quite living up to the potential in that sense. And I think the final act of the film, is probably again is my least favourite aspect of this. I think as well when we have Han in the film kind of dying, in that car crash, that was something I thought no, that was such a kind of bad move. And from there, I think actually when Han, is kind of in that crash there, and the car crashes, and of course we see the car blow up. From then onwards to the final, moments really of the film. I think it wasn't, as good for me. There was just something missing a bit, in comparison to the previous acts. And I think until that, I really enjoyed this. I did still like the final act, and the whole kind of mountain drift all the way down the mountain there. That was pretty epic, and you've got some really cool moments there, and just quite a lot of characters involved there, all kind of on the phones obviously, and seeing them go down at different checkpoints. That was really cool. Still, even though it was an epic kind of sequence there, you've got DK involved as well once again, and you've got this whole kind of, the stakes are high here. I think there's just something that, in the sense of living up to the rest of the film and how the drifting was done, I think the way that was put together, that whole kind of final sequence, there was just something slightly lacking, and also Han in the film not being there for the final act, that was something that I thought really should have been the case. I just thought the whole kind of crash, an explosion, the death of Han in this film was, for me a bit cheap, unfortunately, and it did kind of lessen the impact of the final act a bit. But having said that, this film, other than those kind of the prologue really and the final act in places, I think this is a really enjoyable film, and I just found it to be so investing at times, and I really loved the kind of the racing in this film, and the drifting, and I think actually the way this film is shot, edited, and just the whole kind of style of this film, could be the best of the first three that I've seen obviously overall, and I think it was just so well shot, this one, the visuals, the colours to this, the whole kind of way in which Tokyo's portrayed, at night time especially, I thought was really stunning at times, and I just think the editing to this is really unique, and just the whole style to this. Obviously the Mitsubishi Evo as well, that kind of Sean practices in, this is where he learns to drift in this car. That was just so cool to see, and really iconic, of course, car here, and just the whole kind of the passion to this film, and the whole kind of you know, street racing culture in this, but you know, a unique version of this with the drifting community, you know, in Tokyo. I thought it was just a really nice spin, you know, on this franchise, and how it is nice how it's separate from, in a sense, the other films. You've not got even Paul Walker in this one, obviously, and we do have, as we know, the kind of cameo at the end though with Vin Diesel, and that was a really cool moment. And I like the moment as well when he says that he knew Han, and you know, how it kind of, you know, there's a nice sense of atmosphere there, and you know, I just really enjoyed seeing Vin Diesel for the final moments, and yeah, you know, it's just really cool how he does appear there. And yeah, I just thought, you know, most of the film though, yeah, it was just really engaging to see, you know, different characters, and you know, it's just really cool. You know, Sean was really likeable, and you know, it's quite a silly character, really, and one that I did get invested in though quite a bit, you know, and you know, Twinkie as well, and DK, as I say, he was a good villain, you know, in the film in that sense, and the whole kind of Yakuza plotline was well done at times. You know, some parts, you know, I think, you know, could have been taken even further and developed, you know, in better ways, and it could have been even more kind of layered, and you know, yeah, better in my opinion, just the way it kind of progressed in the second half of the film, but I think there was real promise there, and you know, there's some, you know, moments at least where I found it to be, you know, really cool. Obviously, when the uncle finally comes into the film, and you know, he's been built up before that, you know, that was really cool. And Sonny Chiba in this film was really good as the uncle, and yeah, this head of the Yakuza, and you know, just yeah, really like the way, you know, it was built up, and then he finally came into it, and we saw this, and it was really satisfying. And his involvement in the final act, at least it does keep it a bit more engaging as well, where we've not got, you know, kind of Han there, you know, at least we've got some of the characters that are kind of witnessing this whole, you know, epic, you know, drift down the mountain, you know, the side there. That was really cool, and yeah, I think overall, you know, the action to this, you know, the actual plot line, and you know, a lot of the characters in this, you know, are really engaging, and you know, I think it's just so well put together at times. And as I say, the final act is a bit of a letdown for me, just in some areas, and what I wanted to see, you know, Han missing from the final act was a big issue for me, and yeah, he is definitely the best character in the film. You know, and one of my favourite scenes is, you know, him and Sean, you know, on the rooftop, the dialogue there, you know, that was, you know, just a great moment really. And you know, I think this film at times, you know, I did love, and you know, I think it's just there's some parts that don't quite come together, and some things that aren't fully utilised. So that's why overall it's you know, it's a good film, but it could have been even better for me. But I think despite that, you know, it's also one that really was a nice surprise to see, and you know, I think considering, you know, this is not a one that is, you know, as kind of said, it's not as popular as a lot of the films in the franchise. It's more of a kind of a divisive film, it seems, and you know, I just think personally this is a really enjoyable film, and it's actually in some ways so far the most interesting and you know, kind of unique and charming film from the ones I've seen personally of the first three. And you know, I think this will probably remain one of my favourites, at least within the franchise, because it is, you know, one that you know, it's really charming. You know, the characters in this, and just the whole kind of the setting in Tokyo, and yeah, just you know, I think the way the drifting is done in this, it was just really cool. And you know, as I say, really charming film, and you know, just you know, some funny moments in this, and just the cars in this, you know, the way the kind of culture is portrayed once again, but it's a really wacky take at times, you know, on this, and lots of comedy in this, and yeah, really kind of investing moments as well with the plot, as I say, and the characters, and yeah, it's got some real highlights in this, moments that are, you know, great as well, and aspects of this that are really stunning. And overall, it's, you know, definitely an engaging film. There's some parts, obviously the beginning and the end mainly, that hold the film back a little bit from being even, you know, kind of better for me, but overall, this was a real good watch, and you know, I think for a first time watch, you know, I had such a good time with this, and it was really charming, really kind of feel good as well, and just yeah, really investing, and you know, cool to see this, you know, finally, and all the drifting in this, and just you know, the action, the style to this, and the music, you know, was not, you know, the best at times for me. It was a bit, you know, a bit irritating for me, you know, in places, especially the one, you know, some of the songs in the prologue, but you know, I think, you know, some of the music later on is really cool, and but you know, it's just overall it's got some issues there. You know, the soundtrack and the kind of the mixing as well is a bit loud in places. You know, at the beginning, and you know, some parts of the action a bit over loud, you know, in places. But you know, just little quibbles here and there. You know, for me overall, you know, the style of the film, the way it's put together, you know, something really quite special in places, and yeah, overall definitely a solid film, and one that I did really enjoy. So yeah, overall my rating for this film is a 71%, so a higher score from me, and this is you know, really enjoyable film, as I've said, and yeah, had a really nice time watching this. It was really uplifting, really cool. Yeah, the atmosphere to this, the tone was something I really found to be quite kind of cool, and yeah, just the whole kind of as I say, portrayal of Tokyo at night time especially, and I think some of the characters in this, Twinkie, really enjoyed, and obviously Sean as well, is a good protagonist, but my favourite was obviously Han in the film. He was just so good, and yeah, it's just a great character for me, and yeah, the performances in this, a lot of them, are really cool, and yeah, just enjoyable kind of characters, and solid performances here, and especially the Sun Khan, he was just great in this film, and yeah, definitely the standout character for me, and yeah, it was a really cool film this, and what an experience kind of thing, and yeah, pretty epic in places, and love the style to say, and the whole kind of atmosphere, and really cool kind of adventurous, in a sense, kind of narrative with Sean, and the way it kind of goes all the way to Tokyo, and just the way things are done in the film. As I said, some things with the father and stuff, the dad could have been better, and it was cool to see different things in the film, but things that I really enjoyed at first weren't quite kind of utilised and developed by the end of the film, in that sense. But for what it was, I think I did enjoy most of the elements to this film, and yeah, I think Tokyo Drift, definitely a film that I had a good time with, and really impressive film, really investing consistently, and just the whole kind of buzz of this, and the energy to it, and I did enjoy this quite a bit, this one. So yeah, there we go, had a great time with moments of this film, and overall a really good experience of this film, and yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you think on this film? Really cool to in the comments your thoughts on this. How does it compare for you to different films in the Fast and Furious franchise? And yeah, it'd be cool to discuss this down below in the comments, and yeah, next up will be Fast and Furious, of course, which is the fourth film, in the franchise, and yeah, you're watching that in the next, kind of, couple of weeks, kind of thing. I'll try and get access to that as soon as I can. I really look forward to that, and continuing the franchise, and to see how the rest of the films compare to these early ones, and yeah, it's just something I'm really invested in, this franchise at this point, and yeah, this was a cool film, and one that I really enjoyed, and yeah, as I say, it'd be great to discuss this down below in the comments, and celebrate cinema. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.